Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first afternoon session. Is it okay? Okay. All right. So, welcome to our session on enabling data-driven decision-making. My name is Ann-Kathrin Lipponer. I'm working for IRENA as an associate program officer, and I'm also part of the Mission Innovation Secretariat. So today we will talk about innovation indicators and mission innovation as a whole. And I would like to thank Mission Innovation, of course, but also JRC, the Joint Research Center, who partnered with us to bring the session together. So thank you very much. The session will have two parts. The first one will be presentation to introduce you to mission innovation and the work we are doing. And the second one is to get your feedback on our work. So we will have the option to use Slido during the session. So when you have questions on the presentations, please submit it during the presentations already. We will pick them up after all presentations are done. So I would like to hand over to Eleanor Webster, who is the head of the Mission Innovation Secretariat.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us after lunchtime. I appreciate this is always the tricky slot, so we'll try and keep you entertained for the next 90 minutes. So thank you, Ann-Kathrin, for the wonderful introduction. My name is Eleanor. I head up the Mission Innovation Secretariat, and I'll come on to that later. But first of all, welcome to this session. We have some fantastic speakers lined up to talk through a number of things, including how to track energy innovation progress. I'd also like to thank the JRC, IRENA, and the IEA, who are our trusted collaborating partners in mission innovation. And MI is truly collaborative, and the Metrics Hub, which we're going to talk about today, is a really good example of how mission innovation brings together so many different people and actors to deliver on a joint goal. Also would like to thank IRENA as host and having lots of opportunities for mission innovation to showcase our work. Okay, so that's the introduction, but I'm sure you're all thinking, what actually is mission innovation? So MI, as I refer to it, was born at COP 2015, where global leaders came together to agree that more needed to be done on fast-tracking clean energy innovation. So MI is an action-orientated platform which works to really focus on enhancing international clean energy innovation. The first phase of MI looked to really increase global investment in innovation. And whilst at the same time, it's created a highly active and committed global network where the best and brightest came together to work on some of the most important clean energy transition challenges. And MI's membership brings together countries that account for over 90% of global spend on clean energy innovation. So we have a highly influential membership. The second phase of mission innovation started in 2020 and looked to accelerate a decade of clean energy innovation. We wanted to build on our success, capture momentum, and push the boundaries of clean energy innovation in areas where driving down emissions is most crucial. So As per the name, mission innovation contains a number of missions. Missions accelerate the frontiers of innovation and drive down the cost of technologies. For example, in Pittsburgh, in our annual ministerial last year, it was announced that the missions would deliver over 200 demonstration projects globally this decade. The demonstration projects are key to the delivery of the mission's ambitious goals. So to bring that to life for you, as an example, our clean hydrogen mission aims to increase the cost competitiveness of clean hydrogen by $2 per kilogram by 2030. The mission is making excellent progress. We have 83 hydrogen valleys identified across 33 countries. So as well as the missions, we also have an innovation platform, and this is really designed to strengthen the ecosystem and maximize the impact of investments. The platform really is about ensuring global confidence in emerging technologies. And shortly, I'm happy to hand over to the wonderful Ingrida, who's going to talk about one of the pillars of the platform, which is around insights. And as per the name, what that does is look to ensure evidence is available to enhance decision-making around clean energy innovation policy. Then, once we've done that, we will introduce our collaborating organisations, IRENA, the IEA and the JRC, to give some short presentations. The Slido will be open in the background, and so questions are welcome at any point, and then we'll take those once the presentations have concluded. And then the second part of the session will be, which I'm very excited about, will be to get your views on what our proposed metrics hub could do. How would you find it useful? What should it look like? And what should we be focusing on? Really keen to get your views today. I feel very fortunate to have such a great room of people to help us inform the design. So with that, thank you so much to the organisers. Thank you all for sticking with us in our post-lunch slot. And thank you to IRENA again for the opportunity to host this event. Fantastic. Ingrida, I'll hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eleanor. Hello, everybody. I am delighted to be here today with you at the IRENA Innovation Week and introduce you to the Insights module, which is a pivotal initiative of the mission innovation. My name is Ingrida Murauskaite-Bull. I come from the Joint Research Center of the European Commission, and I have a privilege to lead the Insights module. So within the framework of mission innovation, the Insights module was established with a very clear mission to provide robust evidence that maps the progress of innovation, empowering informed decision-making in the realm of the clean energy. So to very briefly mention the context within which the Insights module operates, it is part of the MI innovation platform mentioned by Eleanor that aims to accelerate clean energy innovation and strengthen the international collaboration. So the innovation platform provides all members with the opportunity to collaborate and meaningfully advance the clean energy innovation. There are several key principles behind the platform activity, such as coordination between members, link between MI activities, and flexibility to adapt to the evolving context so that MI is always relevant to its members and beyond. The second phase of MI, or MI 2.0, that was launched in mid-2021, announced a decade of clean energy R&I. It was built around two main pillars, 7 missions and an innovation platform. Some of those commitments that were made in MI 2.0 joint member statement are actually the key building block for the Insights module. In the second phase, all members committed to do those 4 things. That is, sustain or increase when possible the investment in clean energy technologies, then report on how they plan to achieve their energy and innovation targets through national innovation pathways, strengthen collaboration, and also actively participate in MI's work streams. So a little bit more in particular, what it is that the Insights module actually does. So it aims to inform MI countries on the state of the clean energy innovation ecosystem, supporting them in reaching their energy targets and facilitating cooperation and knowledge exchange. So in particular, one of our key goals and the main discussion point today is the Energy Innovation Metrics Hub. We'll dive a little bit more into it in a second. And then we also support the missions in their work regarding tracking their progress through KPIs. We also collect qualitative data from our members regarding their national innovation programs and collaborations. That is all being done by the MI member survey and also the national innovation pathways. And last but not least, in July this year, during the 8th MI ministerial, we launched MI think tank process as well. Just one more thing to mention to all of you today about what next publications we plan. So at COP28, we will be launching the MI Member Insights Report. That is based on the information on the members' clean energy RD&D activities covering the previous year that we collate via the MI member survey and also the IEA's public RD&D questionnaire. Right. Working closely with our partners like IEA and IRENA and of course the JRC, we will each contribute to the Energy Innovation Metrics Hub from our in-house knowledge on energy metrics. For instance, IEA is committed to deliver on the public R&D investment and venture capital investments. The JRC is providing data on private R&D investments and patents. And IRENA is planning to lead on standards, levelized cost of electricity, total installed capacity, and other indicators. All of this collated information will be structured per MI mission topic area whenever possible. But upcoming speakers will dive into the details of their work in a minute. What will this hub provide? So it will provide benefits such as comprehensive coverage, since it will aim to include data on activities of all MI members across also all MI mission domains. It will support missions, therefore, to make informed decisions. It will provide centralized and easy to navigate platform for analysis and also awareness on clean energy innovation progress. It will also have various visualizations such as charts and graphs. And last but not least, we hope that the hub will also support MI's visibility because it will provide evidence of the impact that MI is making. A mission innovation think tank that I briefly mentioned before. So I just wanted to tell you the main objective of the think tank, which is to provide a platform for all MI members and missions and also collaborative partnering organizations to share knowledge and facilitate the dialogue on those topics that are of their highest interest. Of the interest not only to mission innovation community, but also beyond that. These activities will come from a member or partner-driven workshops and events and case studies and reports. And all of this work that we'll be doing will aim to strengthen the MI's community's knowledge sharing on importance of the clean energy innovation. The think tank, therefore, will provide us with the help to resolve some of those common challenges that MI members face in implementing clean energy innovation policies and various programs. It will also enable learning and practice sharing across on various cross-cutting issues that we face. And it will strengthen the collaboration within MI and its global partners, and also increase MI's outreach to beyond the MI community, as mentioned. So if all of this sounds interesting and relevant to your work, I would also like to take the opportunity and encourage you to get involved in our Insights module and our think tank. So up until the 6th of October, you still have time to respond to our call for expression of interest, and you can access that via the QR code over there. And lastly, before all of this, I just wanted to tell you about our Insights team and to present the colleagues that I have an honor to work with. So we have a very experienced and international team coming from different countries and partner organizations such as IA and IRENA. And thanks to this specific structure that we have, we can really share the various in-house experience with MI much easier, and really make sure that this Insights module benefits from the knowledge that our respective organizations and ministries have. And now I will be giving the floor to my colleague Aliki Georgakaki, also coming from the Jersey. Thank you.
Should be like, yes. Thank you, Ingrida, and thank you all for being here, and also our hosts for giving us this platform to come together again and discuss our continuing input to mission innovation, which already started from the first phase of mission innovation. So we all know each other. We've started working together since then, but for those of you who might not know us or what we do, and where we draw our expertise and inspiration to continue giving to mission innovation, I'll provide a little bit of an insight and input here. So we are the Joint Research Center. We are part of the Commission, and what we do is we provide robust evidence based on science to support policy. We have sites across Europe. There's 5 research centers and also offices in Brussels. We cover a large area of topics, if you like, anything that has to do with improving policy and impact society. All of this is publicly funded and by and large published as well. Please visit the EU Science Hub for anything of interest. But more relevant here and to the point, the Directorate for Energy, Mobility and Climate, where we come from, is based in Seville, Ispra and Petten. This is where our offices are, and I think it's self-explanatory what it deals with. But more to the point, our unit, what do? We deal with all insights for the energy transition that can help policy support. And within that, we include topics on infrastructure, renewables, supply chains. You might have seen my colleague's session yesterday, and also going all around innovation and competitiveness, which is what my team does along with Ingrida. Moving on, so what does that mean? What do we measure and monitor for EU policy? And what do we draw then to bring to mission innovation? So you can hear there on the right, a lot of the indicators that we work on, public and private research innovation, the investments that go there, venture capital, patenting trends, production and trade. active companies in each sector, turnover, employment, skills, and so on. All of these indicators that we look into go into the Energy Union governance, for example. We report there on competitiveness of clean energy solutions. We report for the State and of the Energy Union. We coordinate the Strategic Energy Technology Plan along with DG Energy and DG NDD. And of course, we deal with a lot of scoreboards. And all those, of course, last but not least, goes into mission innovation. So what do we do for mission innovation? If the slide wants to go, I'll tell you in a minute. Again, no, this is again, examples. What could we do? What we draw from? You see here something that we do for the set plan. How much of the investment going into clean energy technologies is from private investors or from public money, from the EU research funds? How do the different major economies I see my old colleagues looking into this and smiling because they've contributed into it. So how do we all compare in these contributions into research and innovation compared to our GDP? Who are on the top right, the collaborations that are more strong across different topics and technologies? And then last, if we take all these different technologies that we need to go forward, what are the strengths and weaknesses that we need to pay more attention, perhaps, in policy? So taking in all this, when it comes to mission innovation, from the first phase already, we were looking at patenting trends, but then now we have this challenge of adopting this to the missions. And there we see that a lot of them have a different scope. Some is very broad, some is more narrow, and also the colleagues that work on the missions have perhaps a different idea about how many supporting and enabled technologies they want to include into this scope and these metrics. So this provides a bit of a challenge for us, let's say. We already heard that we have a very big momentum in mission innovation, in how much of the percentage of the investment it covers. It goes the same for the inventive activity here and the patenting trends. We can see, for example, who is leading this knowledge diffusion, if you like. But then the challenge for us and with our colleagues that produce similar metrics is to how to bring all this together, how to scope the classifications and make something useful. Now, when it comes to private IRENA investment, this is a very difficult area, if you like. This is something that we know is very important. It provides a lot of the investment, the majority, in fact, behind research and innovation. However, it's very difficult to pin down and break down into different technologies because we know what big firms may be investing in general, but not on what and how much on each of these smaller topics, let's say. So this is something that we have more difficulty to break down. And this is also where we need more of a discussion on what is useful and what is the metric. So we also here we've discussed, and the publications before the launch of the second phase of mission innovation have actually mapped some of these issues between how do you do that, and there's a trade-off, for example, in getting most recent data, but very broad. So what is spent, for example, in clean energy overall, or trying to break that down using other metrics such as patents for one, and then you have a bigger data lag and you can't track what's happening too close to the, or more close to where you are now. So this is an issue. We've discussed this among us, what is best to do. We've discussed it with stakeholders, but of course it's something that we also have to look to going forward. So going forward. So that slide didn't like how it was presented. Anyway, I think you can see what's going on. So what we want to do, we have already discussed with the colleagues from IEA and IRENA that there are these issues. So when we have this data and metrics at different levels in terms of technology coverage or time coverage, how do we bring it all together and try and make a story that the stakeholders can take something away from? So we have to discuss between us how we use classifications that we all have, how we use the data that we all have, and put it together that at some level, at least, we get a coherent message across. It doesn't mean that it will all be done the same, and it doesn't mean that we can cover everything at the same level, but we'll do our best, or we'll put our best effort in it to try to at least bring something useful to the missions and the stakeholders. I think I will stop here by saying that I have a very big and talented team of people behind me at the JRC to help with this. And also that I have a very, very easy task in introducing the next speaker, because by now you should all be very familiar with Francisco. And he probably needs a very small introduction to come and tell us what IRENA's role is in all this. Thank you.
Thanks, Aliki. Yes, I got the question during lunch. IRENA has more staff than you, Francisco, right? So yes, there are many more people working in IRENA, but it happens that most of these topics are involving the work of the team that I work. So I'm also very happy now to introduce, I will go very quickly through these first two slides actually, because this was to introduce also mission innovation and how we support mission innovation and their missions. But basically the message there is that we are completely convinced on the importance of mission innovation and also fully committed to support mission innovation in the best way that we can. The clicker has been a little bit tricky, but let's see. Okay, I hope that after 2.5 days of innovation conference, you already have an idea what IRENA does on innovation. But if not, we do, yes, a lot of analysis on technology, systemic innovation, business models, regulations, etc. Now, the thing is that to really have a good understanding also on how this innovation is progressing and actually advancing the energy transition, we also need quantitative metrics, data and analytics that we can understand, okay, this technology, in a more or less an objective way, is progressing faster than this other one, would need more incentives in this area than this other one. Yeah. So the experience that we have had since 2011 that we start to work on these topics of innovation is how can we monitor this progress? And that's why we are so happy to have been involved now in this Mission Innovation Insights module and working with the JRC on these topics, because we as also users of the data see the importance of having these clear matrices and analytics. We had two already first encounters on how to identify those metrics from IRENA side. These two projects, actually both funded by the European Commission and one by the UK, was basically aiming at identifying what are the set of indicators that can help us to actually monitor such a progress. And what we have tried to do is, of course, to look into the metrics not only at the R&D stage, because as we have discussed the last 2 days, the scope of innovation is much broader than that, but also in the whole innovation value chain, from research to development demonstration, but also to market formation and market diffusion, and also all the loops that it has, making everything a little bit more complex, but of course trying to give us a little bit better understanding of how we can actually measure this. So the outcome is summarized on this slide. So from this analysis, we have identified 30 indicators, initially 30 indicators in 3 categories. In the innovation ecosystems, which are the early stages of innovation, on the technology progress, which is the, let's say, the famous valley of death, and then the market formation, which is getting closer to commercialization. And we have them in 7 subcategories: knowledge, awareness and collaboration, cost data, project characteristics, performances, the deployment, and commercialization. So this is a set that we use and actually tested in the case of one technology, offshore wind. But before going to that technology, what we also try to do is that, or we identified were three things. So the first one is that since more than 1 century ago, we have a few indicators that we have been using and are quite robust and good in terms of identifying these input-outputs. Basically, I think was mentioned already by Aliki, investments in R&D from public and private, patent data, scientific publications, and a little bit later, it came the indicator of SMEs or venture capital. But these indicators have been used already for a century or so. And we are in the second decade of the 21st century. So we were thinking, okay, can we complement and come with some new indicators? For example, now we are in the area of digitalization. So one thing is, can we use digital technologies, machine learning, artificial intelligence to help us to do the analytics? But more than that, for example, if we are thinking about how this innovation is making an impact on policymakers, how do we measure the interest of policymakers in certain technologies, etc. Nowadays, we have social media. We have Twitter, we have LinkedIn, we have, etc., many things. So can we maybe in the 21st century start thinking about other type of indicators that can also help us to monitor the progress of innovation? So innovate on innovation indicators. And on top of that, we thought, so looking at these indicators in isolation give you just a little bit of a partial story around the technology, but not really a full picture. So how can we combine all these different indicators to really get a nice picture? So we try to do that with offshore wind. And here, for example, we have 4 indicators for offshore wind. The first one on the left top is scientific publications. The one on the bottom is R&D alliances and conferences. The one on the right top is patent data. And the one on the bottom right is specialized patent indexes. So what we can see here, for example, if we see only patent data, we see an increase from 2010 to 2012, then a decline 2014, and then again an increase from 2014-16, and then stabilizing. Okay, so we see here a trend, and we think, okay, something happened around 2009 maybe, because there is always a lag between the policy influence and the results on patents. So maybe in 2009 something happened, and maybe something happened around 2014-15. Okay. The same we see in R&D alliances. So 2012 also a peak, then decreased, and then from 14 again increased. But in terms of scientific publications, that decline between 2012 and 2014 is not really there, or it's less than that. So can we, for example, think that industry who are actually involved in conferences and patent felt this policy, whatever externality, much stronger than academia, which are the ones providing scientific publications? So what could have happened? We try to think, for example, climate. So the COP in Copenhagen, which was for some failure, was in 2009. And since then, the carbon market started to go down and down. Maybe that was one of the issues that happened. We have also the economic crisis in 2008, no? So maybe these are some elements there. 2014, the economy started to boom again. 2015, we have the Paris Agreement. Everyone was excited again. Carbon markets start to go again. Maybe we see a pickup again there. So we are trying to understand not developing indicators per se of developing indicators, but really to try to understand how policy can learn from this experience in using this data and indicators and then plan for the future and say, oh, if we go in that direction, be careful because we can expect this or that. So this is why, again, this initiative from Mission Innovation is so important and valuable to IRENA. Now, Ingrida already mentioned the 3 indicators that we will be contributing. Cost data, we have, I think, the best cost data database, at least that we are aware of, for renewable energy technologies, also very reliable data on installed capacity, and also on developing of standards, international standards. And actually, international standards is a metric that was never really used for innovation, really, but we see quite a value. And if the clicker helps, I want to show you how. Yes, too much help, okay. Because actually, when we look at this value chain, no, we mentioned that the importance of the different stages, and I can tell you that international standards are only developed when the private sector, because these technical committees are the industries, are the Siemens, the General Electric, the Mitsubishis of the world sitting there developing these standards. They develop international standards only when they see a real potential market on something. If not, they will not spend time on developing standards. So looking, for example, again, at the case of offshore wind, we noticed that from 2012, again, there start to be an increase in the number of international standards being developed for offshore wind, and also the increase on countries involved in that. Now, countries is also important because it means what are the future markets. In the beginning of this technical committee, for example, Korea was not part of it. But after 2012, it became part of it. And now we see big announcements from Korea on deploying offshore wind. So this would have used an indication, okay, the country is preparing to deploy. Or we saw another case, which was with biofuels. The main standardization bodies for biofuels are in Japan, Brazil, and North America. But the big demand for biofuels and production of biofuels is in Indonesia, Brazil, and some other South American countries. So it doesn't match the countries engaged in developing the standards and the one producing. So we may think, okay, then some countries are interested in developing and exporting technology, and others are more interested in being recipients and produce the final commodity. Yeah. So this is how we are trying to use and understand how these indicators can really be used to monitor progress, commercialization, and market share from these innovative technologies. So, well, with that, I conclude. This is what IRENA is trying to support the Insights module. Thank you very much. And then I'll hand it over to our colleague from IA, Suzy Leprince. Thanks.
Good start. Sorry. Thank you, Francisco. So I'm Suzy Leprince. I work at the IA. I'm part of the Energy Data Center. So for those who might not be completely familiar with what we do at the IA, so it's an intergovernmental organization that's been founded in 1974 after the oil crisis. And while energy security was our main focus at the beginning, we've evolved a lot to now focus on the energy transition as well. We include our member countries are mainly advanced economies because all members have to be part of the OECD before becoming a member at the IA. But we've been trying to include more emerging economies through not a full membership, but also more collaboration. So recently, for example, we brought into our IEA family Kenya and Senegal. So we provide analysis, policy recommendation, and solution to help country in their transitions. And to support this, of course, we need data. So this is where me and my department comes in, where we collect data from countries on a lot of different topics. I won't list them all, of course, because here we're looking at innovation. Okay, now I understand what. Sorry. This is, yeah, I was getting stressed this morning looking at everybody struggling. Now it's my turn. Okay, well, I'm not going to touch it. So since the 70s, one of the data we've been collecting is research, development, and demonstration budgets. So this is data on budgets from national government and state-owned enterprise. So we include both in public. So it started from 1974, and it's yearly data up until the current year. So in this case, 2023. We cover a lot of different technologies in 4 different disaggregation levels. They are grouped in 8 main categories, which you can see here. So we have energy efficiency, we have fossil fuels as well, in which we include CCS, we have renewables, nuclear, hydrogen and fuel cells, other power storage technology, and other more cross-cutting technologies. So all this data that I'm talking about here is data that's been sent by all member countries and a bit beyond. For example, now we have Brazil sending us their data. So this is official data from national administration. And we've also had in the recent year closer collaboration with Mission Innovation, where we've been part of the work on reaching out to also MI members country to send them our questionnaire and collect data from them as well.
Next slide.
Okay. Okay, I'll try. Yeah, okay. Well, next slide, please. Okay, so what can we do with this data? We can look at trends, for example, in terms of diversification, look at what countries have been doing. Because our data goes back to the 70s, we can go quite far back in time. So one big thing that happened is that countries have been diversifying a lot their public R&D spending in the 80s, 90s, especially the 80s, it was mostly nuclear. So those are some examples of countries. Obviously, you have countries like France and Japan when it's really obvious. But in recent years, it's been diversifying quite a lot for all countries, and we have emergence of technologies like hydrogen fuel cell. Next slide. Thank you. We can also look at the absolute and relative increase in the technology in the past years. So we can see in the past 5 years that the increase has mainly been driven by energy efficiency in terms of absolute. But if you look at the growth rate specifically, the most rapid increase has been more for hydrogen and fuel cells. Next slide. On top of this work, which is based on official submissions, we obviously also want to look at other countries, because we're going to look at innovation without looking at China, for example. We don't receive data from them. We wish, but we don't. So we also spend some time working on estimated public R&D budgets for other countries. So we're going to look at China, India, we'll also look at South Africa, and countries that we know have significant spendings in energy R&D. This is all based on official budget sources or survey or official statistics. So we still base this on official sources. And from our work, we estimate that there's been an increase of about 40% between 2015 and 2022, with the share of low carbon growing from 72% to 81%. And a lot of this increase, both like in the total increase and the share of carbon, has been driven by China. Next slide. So this work on estimating budget for non-IEA member countries is part of a broader work that we've been doing. We've been trying to take a broader snapshot of what happened to the innovation landscape. So after the pandemic and with the following inflation, and to see how the energy sector fared in terms of innovation. So we have this publication, the World Energy Investment, that we published every year around June, where we have a specific chapter on innovation, which include global public estimates, and we also try to look at corporate R&D, and also venture capital investment in energy startups, which is the second point I'm going to talk about. Next slide, please. So our work on VC investments is based on data from Clean Tech Group that we supplement by current-based data as well. It's data which then we classify, filter, and clean. The VC market for us is quite an interesting thing to look at, because there's been quite a bit of capital that has left the sector, as you can see, because of the increased risk. It's very important to look at the difference between early stages and growth stage. There's very significant difference. While growth stage has stagnated in 2022, and we even estimate a decrease in 2023, early stage is much more dynamic. It shows that innovation at the early stage can still make money, because the investors still believe in the sector, but there's too much risk at the growth stage for investors. And you can see that investment is led by renewables and mobility. Next slide, please. If we look at the regional spread, US is the main player in this. So this is where the startup that receives the VC investment is located. So US is by far the biggest player, but there's still quite a big presence of Europe and China in hydrogen, mobility, and battery. And something that we noted as well is that emerging markets are only 5% of the total in general, so it's still lagging behind. Next slide, please. And the last point on the trends in VC is that there's the energy sector has been faring pretty well compared to other VC sectors. You can see agriculture, medical, and so on, especially at the early stage, where the growth has still been quite impressive compared to other sectors. Last slide. Yeah. So to finalize on this, I'll also talk about some work that we've been trying to do on supporting countries to collect their own data, because our aim would be for having countries collecting their own both public R&D, but then broader, collect their own data, because we think they have more possibility to collect quality data. So we publish 2 reports. The first one is a roadmap to tracking public R&D. It's based on discussions we had with the countries that submit data to us, where we discuss how they were doing their data collection. So it goes from institutional arrangement to the process they're going through to how they disseminate the data. So we try to showcase the various ways to do that. To give examples for countries that want to start to collect their own data from scratch, but also to show to countries that have system in place how they could improve. And we also have another report which focus more on the business sector and what type of data that they could collect in business. So it goes from how they could set up surveys to companies to collect their R&D. It goes how if they could look at databases, if they can look at patents and VC. So we go through all these indicators and the different way they could be collecting it. Suzy, thank you.
Thank you very much to all the speakers. I think we can take now some questions from you on the presentations. So. No. Okay. Okay, so I could, I can see them on my phone if it's not working. Okay.
Can you scan the code?
Yes. Okay, I will start now with the first question that was voted most, and I think it goes to Eleanor. It says, how does mission innovation help in the deployment of clean energy in hard-to-abate sectors? Deployment.
Great, thank you, Ann-Kathrin. So mission innovation really focuses on the innovation side of things. So we work very closely with the Clean Energy Ministerial, or SEM, who focus on the deployment side of things. So every year, SEM and MI host a ministerial where our members bring their ministers and we talk about all things clean energy innovation and also clean energy deployment. So together in that landscape, we tell that story.
Thank you very much. The next question, I believe, could be to anybody of you three. What are challenging in gathering data for innovation, and do the indicators evolve as technologies commercialize? So Aliki has mentioned some challenges, but what happens to indicators once the technologies are more commercialized?
I think it's probably half me and half Francisco on that one. Because, okay, as the commercialized world, they still innovate and evolve. You just see the trends a bit differently, but then maybe you look more into trends like the cost and the standards that Francisco was mentioning. Now, for challenges, we heard about the reporting from Suzy. Countries, even though we're supposed to report and they have a commitment, even a legislative obligation to do so, they do not. And then, of course, for companies, if we're going to the private, they have to report, but to a certain level only. So the disaggregation is not part of it, and not all of them have to report. Listed companies have to. So then we have to do a lot more estimation. We have to come up with methodologies and different ways of deriving what we need to know from all this. And then, of course, you don't want to, increase the burden on countries. So we encourage them, if they're already reporting to one organization, that we can use these for more insights between all of us. And then, of course, I don't want to get too technical here, but even raw data for patents, for example, there's a lot of post-processing that you have to do to make sure that they give you what you want to see and you're not getting, the wrong messages out of it. So there's a lot of challenges. Pick one, we can talk for hours, but I hope that covers a few of them. Francisco, do you want to say more on the evolving commercialization?
Thanks. No, I agree, and maybe also Suzy would like to comment, yeah. But I would say maybe three, summarizing also a little bit what Aliki said. So availability of data. Second, when, if available, when it's available. And the third one is the quality of the data. So the availability, I think Suzy mentioned, not every country reports everything on the same parameters, etc. So it's, for example, in the case of patent, another important thing would be licensing. So not only who is developing technology, but who is the recipient of the technology. But as far as I know, only one country requests companies to inform about licensing agreements, the others not. So we have no data. Now, the second, if it's available, like again, patent data, usually there is a lag. So at least 2-3 years, and you see many articles misleading, like, oh, the last 2 years, big drop on patent on this technology. No, the thing is that it has not been recorded yet. But if you see the same year, 3 years later, you will see that it continues to grow. So when it's available, it's also a challenge. And the third is the quality. Some countries report very different things. So some report I patent this laptop, or I can patent every circuit, every screw in this laptop. Two countries. So if I look at patent trends in laptops, then one country may have 10 times more than the other, and maybe so that's why it's so important, for example, the work that JRC is doing, and we have benefited from that, on having methodologies to improve, let's say, the analytics using this data. So I think these three, maybe.
Yeah, if I can just add on, maybe what I'm more familiar with is that getting countries to submit their data, which is like an important part, and everything following after the quality and so on, is that it's quite different depending between country, but the countries where we have the better data coming from are the ones that use the data for their own needs. So we might be just like an afterthought, then they're going to submit to us, but they mainly collect the data for them to do analysis for their own policies and programs. So what we try to do is convince them of the importance of collecting this data, and from them it's much easier to get good quality and in more investment from them. And maybe just a comment on, and it's kind of also answer the second question, is that not to overburden them, but this is what we've been doing with Mission Innovation. Initially we had separate data collection, but now like the data that we collect for IEM from IEM members, also members of MI, now we just have like one like pipeline, and then we collaborate between us, so that it avoids having like 10 several data collections.
Thank you very much. Maybe, sorry, yeah,
No, just came to mind actually to add that the country surveys through Mission Innovation were a good way to try and address some of these issues by nudging the countries to report when they have the data that perhaps wasn't coming through the process of the IAA. So that's one way where Mission Innovation was improving this process, and still is, I think.
Great. Maybe one last thing, because we have talked about collaboration between the organizations and how to avoid double work and how to align with each other. One question was like, how did you as organizations, or us as organizations, choose the specific indicators to submit to Mission Innovation? Like, what was the process behind that? Maybe Ingrida?
Yes, of course. So before the Insights module, we had another also initiative in the first phase of Mission Innovation that was called Tracking Progress. And there we actually had JRC, IRENA, and IEA already working together. So sort of a little bit about the process, how it all came together, right? So we worked on a couple of collaborative projects as well in the first phase of Mission Innovation, and we co-wrote various reports, organized workshops, and so on. So we didn't start from scratch. And then there was also a question, right, about why these specific indicators that we discussed today. And the very simple answer there is that because that is based on our in-house knowledge and expertise, right? So we're trying to utilize everything that we have in-house and make that, adjust that to the goals of mission innovation as much as possible. That's why today we were also talking about recategorizing our data based on MI missions when possible. I hope that answers it.
I think so. So thank you again very much. And now we would like to go to the second part of this session and get to know you as an audience a little bit better and ask some questions referring to the input we just heard. So we had a lot of presentation and input, and now we would like to understand what is your perception and your input on that. So please join us again on Slido. So you should see no. Yeah, so the first question is, which sector are you all working in? Because we try to understand who, besides the government, would also be part of the users of the data sets we're compiling. So we have NGOs, IGOs as well. Government. Let's see. Think utility. Okay. So we have a wide range of people in the room: research center, investor, regulator, TSO, think tank, association. Okay, good. So we would like to go to the next question, which is, do you use energy and innovation data in your day-to-day work? Is it something you're actually working with? Okay, there's a clear yes. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we see the majority does. The next question would be, how do you think the Energy Innovation Metrics Hub could benefit your work or research? And feel free to type in some keywords. We are also happy to hand over microphones after those questions, so you could elaborate on that as well. Okay. Okay, so we have quite a number of things coming from policy making, data provision, benchmarking, up-to-date data. That's very important too. Okay, great. And the last question of this block would be, what challenges do you foresee in implementing and maintaining the Energy Innovation Metrics Hub? And I would also like to invite you, if you would like to speak up, and you can type in, but we are also happy to take questions from the audience or comments from the audience if there are any. We see many challenges here. Yeah. Okay, so we have the data tracking per se, the transparency there, data availability, that's a big issue, and accuracy, avoiding bias, yeah. Metrics definition, being up to date, sharing the data. Okay. Would anybody have comments on that they would like to share or insights they have from their day-to-day work with innovation indicators per se? Yeah, how do you solve it in your work? No, okay. Then we would like to go more into detail about feedback on the hub per se, which is also in Slido. And the question is, from what you heard from the presentation, whether you think the hub would be complete or not. The indicators we are compiling for the hub, yes. Okay, it's a clear no. Okay, so I think we can skip the next question because that would be, are there any important indicators missing? And I guess since you think, yeah, okay. So what new indicators would be interesting to you that are not part of the metrics hub yet that we presented to you so far? Mhm. Okay. All right, so I just received the information we are running out of time. So thank you for still submitting answers to that, as it's very important to us to get some new input. And I'm now happy to invite Francisco and Evangelos, the head of unit of JSC, to wrap up a little bit. And thank you for your attention.
Good afternoon, and I hope that you had a great afternoon as I had. I would like to thank the speakers for the very informative presentations. I hope that you also find it very useful. And I would like also to thank once again IRENA for giving all of us this opportunity to discuss about mission innovation, for hosting this event, and also for inviting us in the JRC to co-design this session together. I would like to pass two key messages to you about mission innovation and why I believe this is very important. First of all, it is my strong belief that research, innovation, and strengthened international cooperation are our cornerstones to the answer on the climate change challenge that we're facing as a planet, all of us together. Clearly, we need to bring new technologies into the market in order to find the right solutions to decarbonize our energy system and the whole society by mid-century to meet our sustainability goals. And of course, we have to do it all together. the challenges is so huge that not a single region in the world can provide all the solutions. So we need to come together. And therefore, this is where I see the value of mission innovation. This is a great instrument, a catalysis that is going to bring all the major innovators on this planet to find out these solutions. It is such a huge challenge that, as I said, we cannot do it alone. And of course, we need to focus on the delivery, not only on the plan. And therefore, as it is commonly said in the management cycles, what it gets measured, it is get done. So therefore, this is where I see also the value of the Energy Innovation Metrics Hub that we're discussing today. To my view, this initiative is a clear manifestation of the commitment of 3 international organizations, IRENA, IEA, and the JRC of the European Commission, to bring our knowledge together and offer this important data to all of you. You have said in your answers, it is very important for policy making. It's very important to have a clear map of the research innovation global landscape, and also to assess the progress that instruments like mission innovation bring to us. This initiative, the hub, will also help us identify gaps and identify also opportunities for collaboration, and will influence decision-making by providing the scientific evidence to steer our direction in mission innovation, or put emphasis in some avenues and also take some resources from others, because we are all facing the same constraints in terms of financial and human resources. And also, such an instrument is going to help the implementation. We're going to monitor progress and see what works in our constellation of mission innovation and what does not. So therefore, the steering committee and the other bodies can take the necessary corrective action. And I would like to close by saying that what you saw today is a start. It is a process. It is a challenge to collect all this information. And of course, it's our commitment to make all this information available and enrich this dashboard that we want to develop. So our plan is that sometime next year, we will be able to go public with all this data in a very structured manner. And of course, this is where you will come in. So we will be looking forward to receive your feedback, your corrections, and ideas on how we can make this Energy Innovation Metrics Hub even more helpful in overall efforts in order to promote innovation, to combat climate change, but also to develop an energy system that is secure, sustainable, competitive, and fair, and serves our society. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Evangelos. And also I would like to start by thanking you and the GRC for co-organizing this session. We are very happy with the collaboration with GRC. I also want to thank IEA and Suzy for your great contribution today, and everyone here for your answers, which to some extent were reinforcing that what we are doing has a value. Now, it's very important, this topic, because we have to triple our average installed capacity in renewables from now to 2030. If you don't believe me, ask Douglas, from our friend from the Global Renewal Alliance. This tripling target is extremely important, and it's a matter of time. And we need to accelerate. What can help us to accelerate? Innovation. Innovation always surprises us and help us to go faster than we expected. How can policymakers design the right policies to foster innovation if they have available information to know what can work and what may not work to accelerate such an innovation? So everything is connected. We need to go faster, we need to triple, and we need to foster innovation. And these matrices are extremely important for informed policy-making decisions. In addition to the 3 organizations that you see here and that you are already engaged, I hope you are engaged, IAGRC and IRENA. Also, the invitation to learn more and engage more in mission innovation. I saw a question there about how mission innovation is working on hard-to-abate sector. The new missions from mission innovations cover the key sectors: shipping, industries, hydrogen. So mission innovation is also pushing in that direction. So the invitation for everyone there. And the last one, I was told that I have to tell you that we will start the collaborative framework on high share renewals at 3 sharp. So you should drink coffee fast. Thank you.